That's another thing that I think is really great about Chainsaw Man, which is weird that something called Chainsaw Man has probably the most nuanced writing in sexuality in all of Shonen Jump. The most mature fucking thing in the entire magazine. You gotta love me, you gotta back it. Love is a 10 out of don't you grab it. Alright, yeah, welcome! Now we've learned YouTube streaming, woo! So this is something I've wanted to do for a while. Welcome to the Rambling Random Review Roundup! I used to love doing vlog content, dragging my buddies here to talk about favorite mangas and other stuff we're watching. It's been difficult to get them, but now, thanks to the power of YouTube streaming, we are here. Also, if you have a question, please feel free to send it in the super chats so we can answer it. I only have one screen, which is another technical. This weekend has been terrible, but you know what's not terrible? Chainsaw Man! My absolute favorite manga right now. Chainsaw Man just finished its first year of serialized publication, and it has been absolutely brilliant, and I've been dying to get these two guys to come and talk about it. So, Goro Gregoro, tell me, what are your reactions to Chainsaw Man?
Well, you know, for the most part, I really haven't had any, contact with you guys about this manga in general, so this is, my fresh take on, this manga, and my fresh take on your takes on this manga, so, to me, it feels like it is very... okay, the more I think about it, it's very reminiscent to a random manga storytelling, sort of like
disagree
JoJo.
Entirely with that,
but way more violent. Okay,
so
Jesus Christ.
So what did you say? It was a random. You think it's sort of like a random? Oh my god, this is so crazy.
Not oh my god, it's so crazy, but just kind of really random, is it non sequitur? Is that the word I'm looking for?
Well, do you mean Dorohedoro or something where it's oh my god, all this crazy stuff is happening in the thing?
All right.
It's not flashy random. There's flashy random, which is oh, look at me, I'm so bizarre. I'm doing this weird pose, like in JoJo. But then there's also moments in JoJo where it's oh, there's this random exposition about how to pour tea correctly in in China or something like that.
Ceremony.
What the etiquette for tea is in China.
Yes,
you have to close the lid properly or whatever.
As far as I'm fucking concerned, this is the fucking manga for the millennial generation. In the 80s, we had Dragon Ball, where they're going on a magical journey to collect a bunch of fucking MacGuffins to put together a series of MacGuffins and get literally anything you want in the world. Literally anything. One fucking wish. Then we had Naruto and fucking One Piece, which is the journey to become the best thing that ever fucking was in any goddamn permutation of what that thing is. I'm gonna be the Pirate King. I'm gonna be Super King Big Nuts of the fucking Ninja Village. Chainsaw Man, bitch, I am just happy to have a job and eat. It doesn't matter how shitty my work conditions are. It doesn't matter how absolutely goddamn miserable I am. I am just happy to have a fucking room with a door on it to take a shit and some goddamn food at the end of the day. Everything else is gravy. There are boobs? Oh my god, this is even better. I literally never thought my life would progress beyond hot food.
Yeah, that helps a lot. Although, here's a question I've been curious to ask you, and eventually I'm going to do a Chainsaw Man video, and this sort of ties into it. So, on a surface level, Chainsaw Man seems just as juvenile and puerile and dumb as Black Clover. It has a dumb as bricks main protagonist. It has lots of shit and vomit jokes and puerile body humor. It's got obnoxious, ecchi elements. Why do you love Chainsaw Man but hate Black Clover and other things of that ilk?
Because the stakes in this have never been lower, and it feels so painfully relatable. It's like literal. I think that's part of it. Is the protagonist isn't. This isn't some crazy. Well, okay, I mean, all shonen manga is some kind of power fantasy by and large, especially battle manga. But the kind of power fantasy you get out of Black Clover is, very, very much derivative from so many other successful forms of manga, or other manga. So like it's the same thing as fucking My Hero Academia. It's the same thing as Dragon Ball Z. It's the same thing as One Piece. It just does the same thing, and it doesn't do it as well. And so my hatred is the amount of marketing that seems to be shoved at this goddamn thing to push the next what they kind of want to make the big three. And I'm just looking at it going, no, this is done poorly. I hesitate to say this, but I feel like Bleach is done a better job of this, at least for the first couple of what you're saying is that I tolerated.
It's not following the same shonen manga formula as before.
What I'm saying is it feels like, rather than a race to the top for who's going to be the next great thing, I'm not going to say race to the bottom but it feels like it. It just feels like our hero isn't like racing to like be the best thing ever and kick everyone's ass and then scream in everyone's face about how awesome they're going to be, which is just infuriatingly obnoxious. You can kind of tolerate it, especially if the manga is written well, but it just some dumbass who would probably fail the third fucking grade screaming about how they're going to be a world leader in the UN and just like running around punching things, whereas Chainsaw Man is just
he just wants to grab boobs, at the end of it.
More importantly, it's like, so don't you have any greater goals in life? Dude, I never thought I'd get a hot meal. Wait, I get a bed? A real bed? Holy shit, do you have no other like goals in life? Yeah, I want my bed to stay where it is. And also I want to continue eating like a normal human being. This is the best.
Well, he has to
I will murder anyone in my way of a hot meal and somewhere to sleep.
So
he does say he's living the dream. That's true, but he does have an overarching like top goal, which is to date Makin.
Well, the overall theme of Chainsaw Man is a little bit more amorphous. It's sort of like, what is my concept of happiness, and how do I find it, and how do I discover it?
Yeah.
As someone who's come from abject poverty, had nothing, now I need... So, versus, like, what is... I have a big dream. It's, I don't know what my dream is. I'm going to find it as I go through this sort of miserable work-life culture, but still find joys in it.
Yeah, like I feel like that's part of it. It's like he has achieved what he has thought beyond his grasp in the first couple of chapters, and just like does not know what to do with himself, and so will do anything asked of him just to make sure he gets these meager creature comforts. It's like, what, you need me to go like murder the ever loving shit out of something that should terrify me? There are dumplings? Oh, I'm fucking there. It's like, no, I don't want to like be involved in high level governance. I don't want a title. I literally just want food and maybe a chance at dating someone.
I just want a happy relationship.
Right. I feel like because he's accomplished this so fast already, it's like, oh, this was my major goal to begin with. Like his goals are eventually going to change over time, right? Over the course of this manga.
I mean,
who knows?
Maybe. The other thing is, shonen characters are not known for change. I mean, not particularly. They power up, but by and large, their goals do kind of stay the same.
Is this really a shonen manga, though? I don't know if it is. I don't know.
Well, what I think it would be really interesting, and I don't know if maybe if this stream ever does really super well, or we build up this podcast, I'd love to force you both to read the guy's previous work, Fire Punch. I made Zavil read a little bit of it, and that
you did.
is a random, every couple chapters there's a complete WTF, where's this going? And the thing that's interesting about Fire Punch is you can kind of see the genesis of like what makes Chainsaw Man so great. And I don't know what happened between that and this, whether it's the Shonen Jump editorial board that's like, focus this guy, but like what makes Chainsaw Man so freaking great is Chainsaw Man writer guy, I'm not going to butcher his name since I can't look it up. If one of you wants to, you're more than welcome to. He's not like the strongest artist. He's got like a really sketchy style, but he's really great at laying out panels. So everything has this great cinematic feel, and he's really, really good at character writing. And he's also great at tone and pacing. So the comedy hits really hard, like more than any other manga. Like One Piece has some great funny moments, but I don't laugh out loud except for like the really big gags. Maybe it'll get a chuckle, but like all like the most recent chapter where like Denji's like eating and he drops his food, and then the guy's like, you better throw that out. You're gonna get germs. You're gonna make things harder for everyone else. And then he's like, I threw it out in my belly.
Yeah, but it's like in every single panel, and Chainsaw Man is like that. That's why I feel
and the other thing is it's
a lot of the time.
I don't know. It's so in character though. It's like you better throw that out, bitch. I subsisted once on moldy bread for a week. Fuck you.
It's like the pacing is just so like abnormal sometimes.
The pacing is beautiful. It's beautiful.
It's beautifully
the fact
abnormal.
that he is able to
everything can be comedy gold. Like the assassination of Makima. Well, assassination. She wasn't really killed, but like just it was felt so fucking random. And just like out of the blue, like some people on the train like picked up guns.
Yeah, that was great. It was like, what the fuck? This shit's about to hit the fan. And then it just keeps on escalating to the point where it's like, I want the anime adaptation of this. I can hear the like over-the-top Yu Suzuki Sazano Attack on Titan score as like the tension ratchets up as the Katana Man taunts Denji and his company with that awkward conversation about bad food. And then eventually keeps on escalating. And it's brilliant because they show him, they realize he's a danger, they address it, and then he has a badass transformation sequence right after he gets eaten by Aki's fox demon thing.
I also have to say that I really enjoy the fact that this manga can do so well, and I think it's in part due to how low the goals, or how low Denji's goals are, how well it can slow down for a couple chapters and just drag the pacing. And it's just like 3 chapters of work banter or Denji just exploring something as simple as meeting someone at a coffee shop and going on a date.
It's weird, but it also feels like ADD. Like,
oh no, no.
That is honestly some of my favorite chapters, because it takes this normally frantic and violent manga and kind of gives it the gravitas to kind of pull that off just by like pulling back and saying, these are these characters at rest. They're more than one-dimensional, boring creatures that just exist to punch things and entertain you. They're people. And they have thoughts and emotions and desires, and it's okay just watching this slowly unfold. That's the slice of life stuff in this is some of my favorite parts.
Yeah, that's what I think is like really great. Is like all the stuff is like the balls to the wall action is great. The slice of life stuff is really strong. I still think one of my favorite chapters is when Denji and Makima just go to the movies.
Oh god, yeah, that was amazing.
that was like a brilliant way. It's like I've seen that whole thing. Oh no, I'm losing my emotions. Blah 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 blah. Am I having a heart? And it addresses it in the best, most subtle way of just him watching her and the audience reacting to these very movies, and then they see something that's a little more esoteric and strange, and then he sees, yes, she does have a heart. Yes, he does have a heart, and it was just a brilliant, self-contained story.
Yeah, I'll be honest here. The fact that this manga can make me react and be excited about just watching a shonen protag go to the fucking movies and like just feel like I just got off of, you know, like a major fight. It's like, oh, that was the best thing ever. I cannot wait for like 5 more chapters of just that is a huge strength of this manga. I'm just so excited about anytime the story slows down a little bit and I get to see these characters tick.
Yeah.
You know what? I feel like, yeah, those moments are very captivating. And I feel like it's on the cusp of like saying, like having like this big, like metaphorical message, like when it has those moments, like those real character moments. But then, like, you know, we get sidetracked a lot of the time. I feel like the author hasn't quite yet like articulated like a big metaphorical message yet in this manga.
I don't really think he needs, as Zavul said, the pure joy is the fact that like Denji doesn't have a goal. And the fact that he's so coarse, he doesn't have a school, come from like any sort of background, it always means that we don't know how he's going to interact with anyone. And that's honestly what's made him so fun and refreshing. And that's sort of the biggest strength, is the really strong, and I think it's really interesting to compare, like The Promised Neverland had like a really good first run of its 37 chapters up to the escape arc. But the big problem with The Promised Neverland is that the character writing was weak. And once you got rid of like Norman from the main trio, it completely collapsed. Ray couldn't be the cynical one, the pragmatic one, so he was just a supporting one. And then Emma's just the happy-go-lucky girl, and she didn't really have anything to play off of. And then it just became much more disengaging as you kind of came to the sense that the reveals for the mysteries weren't as engaging as the cool stuff you were coming up with your head. So then the character writing just really kind of sunk the series, and eventually we'll have a big discussion about it. And, you know, it's not a terrible series by any means. It's just not as good as it could have been. While Chainsaw Man has a few broader mysteries, but the fact that you don't really care about them is because the character writing is so good. Because, you know, how's Denji going to interact with this straight-laced man like Aki? Aki is like the Sasuke, but as Ki, what makes Sasuke fun, or Aki fun, is that he's just this, like, poor punching bag where just all this horrible shit keeps on happening to him.
Oh, God, he's just the butt monkey of this series. It is unnerving both how effective he is and how much shit gets piled on him. He's like that one poor schmuck at the office that everyone knows is hyper competent, and so just like, hey, I need this done by 5, and like 3 more people do the same fucking thing. So he's there until like 8 o'clock while everyone else just dipped out early on a fucking Friday. And he's just like, it's like, God, that poor fucker. Are you gonna help him? I mean, he's got this.
Yeah. That's the beauty of like Genji plays off him well. He plays off Power well. Power's like, you know, I've seen this sort of character. Oh, she's the kind of attractive, edgy demon girl. But what makes Power so fun is that she's arrogant and just as stupid as Denji. So they've got this beautiful brother and sister dynamic. We're like, you know, nothing made me laugh more than when she's like, I'm going to become the prime minister, and then I'm going to impose 100% taxes on the humans just so I can make them miserable.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing is, as much as I dislike some of the fan servicey shit, I actually really appreciate that they got the okay, Denji touched Power's boob. Okay, there was nothing there. No one enjoyed that. No one cared. So that entire relationship, the entire relationship kicked out the window. We no longer have a second female character who is inexplicably like sexually attracted to the protagonist, and they like and then now there's this giant will they won't they harem with like 3 fucking people. No, it's just like,
yeah.
Well, this did nothing. Did do nothing for you. Did nothing for me.
That was an interesting.
That's another thing that I think is really great about Chainsaw Man, which is weird that something called Chainsaw Man has probably the most nuanced writing in sexuality in all of Shonen Jump. The most mature fucking thing in the entire magazine.
Yeah,
probably. Yeah, maybe.
Because most of like the ecchi scenes are always consensual. It's not like, oh my god, I fell down on you and you're touching my boobs. Wee! It's always like oops, sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go.
Right. It's not like I think that's what makes a lot of people uncomfortable with like a lot of anime and manga, and especially shonen fan service, is that it's always sort of accidental, it's always unintentional, or it's always some other character who's doing something that doesn't have the consent of another character, which gives it this sort of like creepy vibe. Versus in Chainsaw Man, where Denji touching Power's boobs is consensual. Reze stripping down and skinny dipping is consensual. It's like both willing parties, and that makes it like feel a lot less skeevy and a little bit more classy. Even the lesbian orgy we just got in a couple chapters ago is completely consensual. They're all having a great time. Halloween.
Yeah, and just like it's like what is your payment? I don't know. What do y'all want? And it's like a list of random shit. It's like, yeah, I want that.
Give me that and give me human rights for my girls, and then you got it. Sure, we'll see what we could do. Halloween.
Do you think there's like a bigger overarching message besides like, oh, I just have all these simple desires that I've always wanted, but now I have, another simplistic goal that I want to.
I think the overarching theme, if you right now anyway, is what makes you happy and what are your ambitions. Because remember, Pochita tells him that show me your dreams, Denji, and Denji's like existential crisis is like, I'm trying to be happy and live my best life, but I'm still trying to discover what makes me happy. And he's having all these interesting complications. Like he thinks his greatest dream is to have with Makima, and then it seems like he has this great relationship with Reze until she turns out to be a Russian KGB agent. And quite possibly one of the best.
Yeah, who looks like a weird sexualized version of Bullet Bill.
I have to admit, Reze's monster design is fantastic.
Oh, that was like a 10 out of 10 design.
And terrifying too. It's like who would have expected that? Just as they're making out, she bites his tongue off and pulls that thing off her collar, and then her head explodes and fucking turns into the Bullet Bill, sexy Bullet Bill monster, basically.
She's the bomb. It was great.
Did you Isaac? That was terrible.
Did you see I hope you got the very obvious parallels to the Xenomorph, right?
What? Xenomorph?
Oh no, Greg! How could you not see it?
Wait. Say it again to which thing?
The Xenomorph, the alien.
I mean, it did look a little bit Giger-esque.
Oh, the design.
The design is like a huge homage to Alien.
Maybe.
Oh my God.
But it's the shape of a bullet bill.
Because it's a giant bomb, but the bomb is also the same dorsal fin shape of the Xenomorph.
Can you really make that kind of comparison?
Oh my God! There are screens where he intentionally has the little dynamite frock flap behind her to symbolize the Xenomorph's tail.
Really?
Yes!
I just assumed that was I just assumed that was fan service.
I thought so too, because she was naked underneath. Okay, there's a really interesting detail in that I wanted to go over. It was kind of like a random gaggy thing, but remember when her skirt flaps up and he's like, oh, their costume's easy on the eyes. And then in the following panel where her skirt flies up, she's wearing panties. Did you notice that?
Yeah. Assumingly she picked up some panties while she was massacring all the guys.
Isn't that such a weird, like, funny, quirky detail to add? Like, after that comment, like, oh, your costume's really easy on the eyes. And then, like, it's like completely unspoken. It just added detail of her wearing panties from then on.
It's a good question. I assume that maybe, like, who knows, maybe in the anime or in the manga, when they, like, every now and then they, like, add an additional little extra drawings, maybe he'll show some detail. You could say it's a discrepancy. I'm just going to assume between panels she found some panties while she was murdering.
I don't think it's a discrepancy at all. It's definitely on purpose. Because, before she was naked and people were commenting, oh, yeah, you're basically obviously naked. It was my interpretation of that. And then she's like realized that, and she got self-conscious, and then she put on panties just so she wouldn't people.
I'm just now imagining like her just like busting, like exploding through someone's house, rummaging through their like their like closed doors, pulling on some underwear while the person is just like staring in horror from their bed. It's just like, you will never mention this, and then just leaves.
Yeah, that's basically probably what happened. She like probably picked them up from all the corpses she made from killing the devil hunters.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. That's just what I accept. And also, can I say that arc was like a little mini masterpiece?
It did feel really, really fucking awesome. And they even threw in a fucking Sharknado, just like...
I think one of my favorite gag panels is the panel of Denji riding Beam.
Yeah, I have to say, it's like, okay. So there's like, all right, what kind of fucking power-up is he gonna get? And I was like I was genuinely curious. Like, he has chainsaws for hands. Like, what possible fucking power-up can you have with fucking chainsaws for fucking hands? And Isaac was like somehow convinced he was gonna like fire chainsaws, and I was like, that is the dumbest fucking thing. No, he's not gonna fire fucking chainsaws. It's goddamn stupid. Like I was somehow convinced that he was gonna like be able to like make more of his body,
or like
produce those like
chainsaws.
Or just like different parts of his body like produce like the chainsaw teeth, and like just be like a meat grinder of death. But instead, I guess it's like, okay, you can like use your like chains to like whip out and like fly around like fucking Spider-Man. I'm like, okay, that's weird, but let's see, like, all right, it's time to do it. And then he's riding the fucking shark, and like, I don't know if I should be angry about this because this is the stupidest thing ever. But I know I have to share it with other people because this is the weirdest thing I think I've seen in months. So I am sitting. This is after Thanksgiving dinner. I'm in my girlfriend's parents' house with my fiance, and we're all just sitting around, and I'm like, okay, I have to show you something. Like, what? And I just like hold my phone up, and they're like, what the fuck is that? Is that a shark? Yes. Is that a guy with a chainsaw for a head? Yes. What the fuck? Keep in mind, both of them like read mangas. They both love One Piece. Daz loves Naruto, and fucking Clara loves the shit out of Black Lagoon. So it's not like this is like new grounds. Like, what the fuck is this anime bullshit you're doing? This is not new ground to tread. It's just, it's that weird.
I loved it. Like Beams, like, you know, they're both like, yeah, I get it. It's like Beavis and Butthead almost.
But you admit it is that weird now, but how would you compare it to JoJo weird?
I don't know. I have never actually watched JoJo.
I thought we saw like a few bit of like the I don't know, because didn't we watch it ages ago, like the Stardust Crusaders anime and Otakon?
Yeah, that's all I've watched, and that was shit 6-7 years ago.
Yeah. But well, I'd say that, like the JoJo.
It's not quite as flashy as JoJo is.
No, it's.
But I think what keeps the chainsaw thing, like, it feels like a little bit better than LOL so random is the fact that it's based in character moments. Like,
yeah,
you know, Beam is like trying to lead him up, and then, you know, Denji's like, yeah, I got a great idea, and then he does it, and then even Beam's like, wrong.
But because Beam is like
so loyal to Denji,
he's like
he
a manservant to Denji now.
He goes along with it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, this is exactly what we should do.
Master Chainsaw says this is a good idea. Let's go, Master Chainsaw.
I kind of want to get Beam's backstory.
Yeah,
I want to know what the fuck is wrong with him. Because I mean, everybody in this, like, everybody seems to has. Like, everyone seems to have such detailed backstory. I want to know what the fuck is wrong with him and why he's so, like, weirdly subservient to Denji.
Well, I think we've got a big clue why he loves Denji so much now that we got the latest, probably the biggest piece of lore that apparently, like, why everyone wants the Chainsaw Man. Because Chainsaw Man was the supreme king of hell who literally...
killed all the devils.
Yeah, killed all the devils. And assumingly Beam has some sort of vestigial memory about that.
Yeah, apparently almost every single devil has the memory of the sound of the chainsaw revving up. But then die in hell.
Yeah, but then power should be like that weirdly subservient. It's like everybody they meet should be that freaked out. It's just Beam is just like I feel like that's less the demon side of him and more just like something in his human side that causes that like weird fawning subservience. Also, I'm just gonna say I fucking love the fact that the like murder lord of hell, the end bringer, the destroyer of worlds, is like this weird little puppy blob that's like that fucking big.
I think that's also like speaks to volumes of like what makes Chainsaw so great. Like Pochita is a pretty great mascot. But he literally gets killed off in the first chapter, and we've never seen him anything outside of, like, don't open this door.
Do you think that represents Pochita?
Of course.
Yeah, like that's like his true form behind that door.
What if it's like relating to the Gun Devil in some way?
No, that's
oh
god,
obviously... you know what would be
Oh, sorry, go on.
You know what would be amazing if his true form was like the puppy mech. It's just like like a blob made of like chainsaws and puppies.
I feel
just like our fucking comic that went nowhere.
Yeah. You can go buy it on Amazon.com.
Yes. Let us plug that thing. Jesus Christ.
Shonen King. Yeah, go get it.
I imagine one day we're gonna get a flashback backstory between Pochita and the Gun Devil, like an epic battle between the two.
One thing that means
I want to know why. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, one thing.
God damn it!
One thing I was speculating about was that it would be really funny if like you know, Chainsaw Man writer just goes all the way, and then he makes the Gun Devil like you know, a rowdy Texan with like a big 10-gallon hat and like the ultimate symbol of America.
But that was also another interesting thing. Like the Gun Devil was actually selling guns, like real guns, and not like using his superpower or anything like that. Like
he's the Gun Devil. What do you want?
But he also managed to use like some kind of super duper superpower to wipe out like 500 million people or whatever. So why does he need to sell guns? Like
Gun Devil's gotta eat.
I'm gonna go say because like selling guns in large conventions is part of gun culture. You show up and you buy more firepower than you could ever possibly need for no apparent reason in a giant like rented fairground convention hall, and then you take all of your guns home and sit around like a paranoid lunatic until the time comes when you eventually like take all of your weapons and kill a bunch of people. You know, like Americans.
That sounds about right.
America.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
the gun devil encompasses all parts of gun culture.
Oh my god. What if the gun devil is just America?
That's what we'll have to wait and see. This crowd, crazy madman.
Also, because there are so many weird like versions of devils, like the mold devil and everything else, like the angel devil, I want to know if there's an airsoft devil that is just like completely harmless and just the world's biggest fucking gun otaku in Japan. who now has to like hide his weird like fixation on this hobby because everyone is terrified of him every time he transforms because they think he's a fucking gun devil. And all he really wants to do is go out and like shoot people with airsoft pellets in like a fun recreational environment.
I would love to see more benign devils. Although, what was the thought you were going to say before I brought up the thing about the American devil or the gun devil?
I want to know why the like super overlord of hell is chainsaws. Like, you would think it would be like the gun devil makes sense, or maybe the bomb devil, or like something that is just so violently destructive, not a logging tool.
My guess is that like chainsaws are super metal. Two, considering the fact that the guy's like a super movie buff, I think you'll like tie it into like some sort of weird thing about like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and how like chainsaws are tied to horror. Like knives are pretty, being stabbed by knives is bad, but what's worse, a freaking cut by a chainsaw.
Oh, I just assumed it would be like an Evil Dead reference.
Well,
oh yeah, you're right.
Considering chainsaws beat eternity, like I imagine it has to do something with that. Like never-ending torture sounds like, it could be pretty brutal. So maybe that all these devils like end up saying, "Please finish me off," like because the chainsaws are that torturous or whatever.
Yeah, because chainsaw is the most metal and horror implement. Although, can I just say though, I love that like post-eternity devil arc where they're all just like bonding and having like beer. And then
where I forget her name. Eye Patch Girl. She like throws up in Denji's mop.
Yes, the greatest panel transition of all.
I see what I wanted to do with this overlay. I wanted to have like a few of those favorite moment panels like flash up like while we were doing this live stream, so we could have like the occasional like Denji getting his mouth puked in panel.
Jesus Christ.
And like Power saying something stupid or like I want to be the prime minister and 100% taxes on the humans. Wipe out all the humans. Or like, how about this latest chapter? All right, first 4 panels, ducks. Denji and Power looking at ducks. Denji, I think it's okay to catch and eat those birds. Power, if I were president, I'd allow it. Like, so fucking like out of the blue, random, and then never mentioned again. Then we move on to the rest of the story.
But it's a beautiful character moment because it's like they're both idiots. One of them is an idiot just by virtue of not being educated and by virtue of like literally thinking about everything in terms of survival. It's like, I'm poor. I still haven't grown out of being poor. That's food. Yeah. And Power is just a megalomaniacal asshole.
Who's too stupid. Oh, God. And can I just say that was like one of my favorite training arcs is the like, we got to fight smart. Yeah, I already feeling smart. And they start wearing glasses.
Oh, my God. I wanted to use that panel, too. We'll murder that asshole using our heads. Remember that asshole using our heads. And Denji's like, I kind of feel like I'm getting smarter already. That's the final panel of the chapter. Like,
yeah, my only disappointment with that arc is that it didn't go. I would have loved to seen 3 or 4 more chapters of that guy just like slaughtering them and then them trying to be smarter.
Yeah. The teacher was hilarious too. Like, there's this one panel, just one speed bubble. He says, "I'll turn you two into the craziest motherfuckers ever." That actually made me laugh out loud. Like when I saw that, it was like, because his idea is like his whole metaphor and like how to be like the best devil hunter is like you have to be fucking batshit crazy to beat a devil, because they have they feed off fear. Yeah. Oh, that's okay. That's one thing I wanted to talk about. This whole analogy between like the devils and fear. Like, is there any substance to that? Do you think there's going to be major like metaphors based on that?
Well, you can already see it in the sense that like the devils are afraid of Denji. That's giving him more power. And now that he's on national television and he's out in the world, that's giving him more media presence. So it's an idea I do like, the idea that like something that people fear more gives the thing more strength.
Yeah, so it's like this is like it's interesting because Denji and Power seemed like up there in terms of crazy. And then there's Aki, who is labeled as not as crazy.
Well, remember, he's not a devil man. He's just like a guy who has a lot of devil man contracts that are all kind of terrible.
Right.
Yeah, which is amazing.
Yeah, it makes his character pretty interesting, actually, if you think about it. Because like the teacher, he's kind of like signifying like Aki, he doesn't really have any strong skill sets. Yet Aki, he's still trying to make up for that fact by doing these contracts with these risky devils, like the future devil, and like halving his lifespan and all that shit with the curse sword. So he's like, in a way, maybe he's like Rock Lee and Sasuke combined. You think about it. Like,
I don't know about that, because he's working hard, but he's just kind of like miserable and like very straight. And I also love it when he's in the hospital and then Power and Denji eat all his food.
Oh yeah, that was just sad. I felt bad for Aki there. Just like they're just like, oh, can I have that apple? And like the next characters come in that met him for the first time, like, oh, can I have this apple? This last apple. Aki's like getting the short end of the stick all the time, but
always.
Oh god, yeah.
Oh, here's a question. Originally, you hated the Angel Devil, but now after he's gotten like a lot of big significant moments, do you hate him a little bit less, Zappy?
I'm just confused as to why there is an Angel Devil. Is it supposed to be a fallen angel? Maybe I could hate that less.
Maybe we'll get a backstory someday.
Like, is it supposed to be yokai where they're just like there's an everything yokai? I kind of want to know what the structure of hell is at this point.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It just seems like it's throwing in any kind of random yokai. Think of it like shark yokai, fucking chainsaw yokai.
I don't know if it's like feels really like I don't know. To me, it always felt like Devilman was like more. This is more in spirit with the old Devilman than any other, like, because like originally, Goro, you were saying like, oh, it kind of reminds me of like Parasite, and I was like, not really.
It still kind of reminds me of Parasite a little bit. Like, there are parasites that would take over, like, the human brains. And, other parasites that would have a symbiotic relationship with the human. Like the main character and his symbiote. And they would work together to fight off these other parasites that would take over the human brain, or just like the I think sometimes they would fight the parasite without a human host as well, now and then, but I could be mistaken.
But like in that there was like a because like there isn't like a symbiotic relationship between Denji and Pochita. Pochita is like pretty much gone outside of the door flashbacks or the door dreams.
Yeah.
In a way, it is like he's like become his heart.
But like that doesn't like affect it. It's not like two protagonists. It's basically one guy who could transform into something.
I guess.
Just like whatchamacallit, Akira could transform into Devilman using the powers of Akuma or whatever.
But it's almost like the memory, the love of Pochita is still with him. But
Yeah, I mean, it's closer to like Kurama in Naruto, where it's like Kurama really isn't a major character. He just kind of shows up every once in a while to
who's
like
Kurama
argue with.
again?
He's the fox.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Like
Been a
he
while.
just shows up every once in a while to argue with Naruto, or maybe fist bump him, or whatever the fuck is happening. So it's not like there's like a major protagonist locked inside Denji that constantly has conversations with him. He gets flashbacks every once, or like dream visits every once in a while. And maybe if Denji opens the door at some point, Pochita will become a more important character. But for now, it's basically just the equivalent of Naruto's Fox.
Yeah, and even less than that, because I feel like this fox has had more screen time than frickin' Pochita, who only gets like a few panels of like foreshadowing of the creepy door. And that's about it.
I still think the creepy door could be Gun Devil related.
God damn it, Greg! No.
I don't think so.
Why not? I mean, Pochita hasn't been that ominous, like.
Yeah, but then we found out he is
reason.
like the super murder lord of hell, destroyer of everything.
Okay, that was like the first thing, but
Yes.
but I feel like yes, it could potentially be Pochita's like dark secret or whatever, but considering like they bonded like already or whatever, and maybe it's just we don't know that much about the Gun Devil right now. I figured we could use
we'll
like
get it eventually, and oh man, I cannot wait to see that character design.
If it's a character design. What if it's just a metaphor?
No, I think we're gonna get
Greg, shut up.
The Gun Devil is really Japan, the society of Japan.
No. Although I would love to see an internet devil or the meme devil.
Oh Jesus Christ!
You-
No.
You described this manga similar to Devilman.
God, I feel like it would just
I
be
was
Pepe.
expecting some like grand like
Ugh.
thesis metaphors of like society and humanity and all that stuff, raw weirdness, and I was like thinking, okay, what's it gonna be? Is it gonna come to like the very end of reading 55 chapters or what? Because
Well,
it didn't have like Devilman had some pretty like big things on commentaries on society, right?
well, it was more about like fear and paranoia. I was more comparing it in the sense that like, here's the guy who's a devil man. Denji's Chainsaw Man, and then he's fighting against all these other half-devil people, like frickin' Eternity Devil, the Bomb Devil, etc.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. When I think of Devilman, I think of like this grand thesis of commentary on society or something like that.
Well, I think, I guess you could think about that in the apocalyptic finale, but I think most people, when they think of Devilman, they think of like, oh my god, this is a cool Devilman, and he's fighting other people who transform into Devilman.
Yeah.
That's generally what I would believe. So Jens, do you have out of all that we've seen so far in this year of Chainsaw Man, do you have a favorite arc?
Not so much an arc, but I'm still going to reiterate how much I just freaking love the downtime stuff.
Just the slice of life stuff?
Yeah.
I must say, though, I'm a big fan of the Reze arc. I thought that was a great transition just between, like, it was like all the elements of Chainsaw Man at its best. It started out with, like, great, poignant slice of life stuff where, like, Reze makes Denji question his place where he's like, I think I'm pretty happy right now. I've got marmalade. I got a place to live. I've got this guy who we have kicking nut contests, tournaments. It's great. And then she's like, well, real kids go to school and like don't have to worry about getting killed every day. Wouldn't you appreciate that? And then it kind of like sinks into him. Oh wow, maybe this is kind of messed up. Maybe this isn't so great. And then it sort of escalates with her trying to seduce him away. Then you get the introduction of the psycho killer, who's like sort of like, he's gonna go after the girl, but then she's a freaking Russian agent, and then it's like published in Russian language. That was the craziest part. Like the original, like
she sings him a song while she strangles him, and then the devil he made a contract with was like, oh fuck, I'm sorry, Reze. I didn't know it was you.
Exactly. And then it escalates to the point where she tries to get him away, then she bites his tongue out, and then that was like another moment where you could hear the hype anime music in the background, and then pulls it off and then reveals. Oh, sorry, what were you gonna say? So
also I have to say, just like as a quick interrupt, the typhoon baby is I don't understand why it thought that was a good idea to fight a literal whirling man made out of chainsaws. It just what the fuck? That's a terrible idea. You're just made out of swirling babies. There's no armor. There's no chitin. There's no protection. It's just like, wow, you're just fucked.
And it's a tornado. But the tornado's made out of like intestines or something.
It's like, wow, you're just fucked.
That was pretty hilarious. Where he just like cuts through it. It's like, oh god, this hurts so much.
Like, honestly, what the fuck did you think would happen?
It's not really clear to me like how to properly kill a devil or a devil man or whatever. Like it just seems to be like whatever in the context of like. However the story feels like killing off a devil, basically.
I don't know. It seems pretty consistent. You cut it up enough, it dies.
Yeah, but look at Denji. Like he hasn't died yet.
Well, because he keeps on getting blood and regenerating, and he's also got that chainsaw thing where if he revs up, it regenerates him.
Yeah. It's. I believe the I believe the like formula is runs out of blood, dies.
Yeah, that's
so like the cutting isn't even so much a thing, so much as like bloodletting. If you like bleed it enough, it dies.
All right, I guess.
And to go on about that arc and why I love that arc so much. So then it goes from like this quiet stuff to complete balls to the wall action, where she becomes like probably one of the coolest character designs we've seen in the series. One of the coolest character designs I've seen in a long time.
That's true.
Decimates the divisions that they're all struggling to try and keep pace with her. Then it escalates into the super battle.
I love this panel where she just like does that snap thing and like shoots off like some kind of spark bomb at somebody in their chest and it just creates a huge explosion. I love the paneling of that and the art of that.
Oh yeah, the layout is like fantastic. He's like so good. It feels like you're watching. It already feels like you're seeing the storyboard for a great anime already.
Yeah, it felt like such a dynamic fight, and just like felt just completely out of the blue, all of a sudden, super action pack, Beam coming out of from nowhere is like, I'm gonna save you, Master.
I'm so sorry, Master. I'm so sorry.
It's like super comedy gold, but then mixed with like a sense of like, fuck yeah, Beam. I couldn't believe I was cheering for Beam. Like of all characters, just Beam is so fucking stupid of a character. I was like hating him at first, but then
well, the character writing is so strong that like every character kind of wins you over at some point. I'm like trying to think of like what the closest thing to a weak character is, like, but even like the little girl with the little Lane haircut thing who's like, you know, kind of badass but usually submissive and just always like I love the moment in the big fight.
The one that wanted to kill Denji, the Eternal Demon.
Yeah, exactly. And then she's like, you know, Reze just looks at her and she's like, my hip.
Yeah.
Even the stupid violence devil who has the overused plague Dr. Bird mask. I love the fact that like he's obviously not super developed. The fact that he like kicks her, does nothing, and he's like, all right, I'm done. I tried my best. But what makes that arc a real masterpiece is the end point. The poignant, like the fact that they go swimming again, which ties it all together. The sense of bitter tragedy when you learn that she's like from a similar circumstance, that she's like Russian weapon that was kept in a cage, and then she says, "I never went to school either." And then Makima is like, you know, reasserting her role as the toughest, as
the biggest waifu,
biggest bitch in charge.
Best
comes
waifu.
In, whatever, best girl. I just like to think of her as like the coldest badass. Comes in on a plague of rats and like completely obliterates her while she's just trying to activate her devil power.
Yeah.
Because originally I was thinking like, you can't make me feel sympathetic. I was kind of angry that she got away after like all the like damage she causes. Like, no, you can't let her get away just because you think she's cute. Then they brilliantly add that tragic element, and then the whole thing comes to circles. We see her die a horrible, brutal death.
Yeah. That was that was interesting. I thought they're really very liberal in terms of killing off their characters.
Oh, it's great. And I also love the scene with Himio where she like, oh, that was so beautiful, where she's like keeps on sacrificing her parts of her body to like keep on trying to hold the katana devil at bay.
Oh yeah.
The eye patch girl, remember?
Oh God, I forget that scene.
It is such a beautiful, tragic scene. Come on. It's like literally she like keeps on sacrificing her, literally to the point, and her arms gone, her legs gone. She's just a torso, and then eye patch.
Right. And she's like sacrifices more of herself to summon more of the ghost devil.
Yeah.
To just like try and keep it at bay.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. She did that to save Aki though, right?
Yep, because she loved it. And, I even loved the scene where like whatchamacallit, she's like really drunk and she almost sleeps with Denji, but Denji's a good boy and holds out for his. But then she just like passes out.
Wow, that was a good character moment. Yeah.
And then and then they like build this like character moment where they're like saying that like, you know, I'll help you get with Makima and you can help me get with Aki, and it's like, yeah, great office drama, and then like right after they're hit with more
that.
Yeah. It's been a really, really great year for Chainsaw Man. All right, so any interesting final observations or thoughts? So we'll wrap up our Chainsaw Man discussion, have like just a general talk about things, and then we'll wrap up the live stream.
I have a few things, like small things.
Okay.
I had a theory about why the Chainsaw author was killing off its characters so liberally. I don't know if it's true or not, but
what's your theory?
So there's this thing called in art, like drawing same face drawing, same face drawing syndrome, where you kind of draw like you could be really good in some aspects of art, but you like draw faces really similarly, and that's kind of what I was getting a glimpse at the artist for Chainsaw Man. Like he had like very similar faces for characters. Like he has to do like really like crazy details. Well, not like he has to do like really noticeable details to get like different kinds of facial patterns sometimes. And one of the reasons why I was thinking he was killing off characters was so he could make room to draw characters with similar faces. Like, just, think about Reze's face and eye patch woman's face. Like,
I have to compare them. That's interesting because, like, I was thinking about. I mean, you're right. He does have like a sort of similar style, but I feel like there's enough differentiation. And I think one reason that like helps him is that he doesn't like draw like super busty characters. They all feel a little bit more realistically proportioned. So that's one reason why the fan service doesn't feel as like terrible or skeevy as like Oda's like.
Yeah.
Because like Oda, oh man, I love you, but you got like the same clockwork design, and it's not even like Oda does a lot of fan service most of the time, but he is these like really fan servicey characters, and then like they add moments in the fucking anime.
Yeah, that's kind of something similar. Like, it's similar to same face syndrome, but I guess that would be like, I guess that would be called like same female sexy proportion syndrome or whatever.
Well, here's an interesting observation. How would you compare? Because like the art, I think he's most similar to, but I think he's better. Is the Attack on Titan? His stuff kind of reminds me because he kind of like has a lot of characters that like feel the same and kind of have like the same design, and they kind of like all don't feel very distinct because they have like a certain dress code because they got the like the scout uniform, so they don't. It's not like each character has like a unique outfit that sort of like separates them. They all have kind of wear this regimented thing. Well, you know, his fetish is like the Pulp Fiction suit jacket. Like everyone's got a suit jacket. Everyone's got a fucking suit jacket. They all the public devil hunters have a suit jacket. Dante's got a suit jacket. So would you say
fucking
that
salaryman aesthetic?
Yeah, the salary, the bad Tarantino salaryman would be what I would describe it as.
I want to say, he does have a little bit more distinction with his faces. Like my thing, I think, is like compare like someone like Reiner's face to Krista's face, basically. Reiner's
that's
got
not
like
fair. They're like one's a female character, and that's compare Reiner to. Well, I don't know. Reiner's one of the more distinctive ones, but like,
like
what about
draw.
Bertholdt to Aaron? Bertholdt and Aaron look pretty goddamn similar. They both kind of like have the black hair and whatnot.
I'd say Bertholdt has like a longer, skinnier face. I guess I'm going more from the anime than from the manga. I don't know how different the manga art style is from the anime, but I'd say like they have different like. A lot of the characters have like more subtle, like different jaw structures and like smaller eyes sometimes, longer faces, more pronounced cheekbones sometimes.
That's an interesting observation. And what you think, like Chainsaw Man's character designs are a little too? Because like so far it hasn't been an issue because I think his style's kind of scraggy, but I think because he's like so good at like laying out panels and like delivering comedy and action. That it doesn't really matter to me if like all the characters like are salarymen chic.
I mean, he can have this weakness and still be like a really like he could be a talented artist and tell a really great story. But I think it's interesting like how some artists will make up for this deficiency, and the way he's making up for it is like my theory is he's killing off the characters because of this deficiency. And like just compare Reze to the eye patch woman. And he draws eyes similarly too for a lot of characters. And that's why I feel like he does do a lot of character designs where there's like things covering their eyes a lot.
But at the same time, there's like a lot of really cool, like for an example, like what I think is going to be a huge design thing, like you know, the orgy bounty hunter. She's got like that Halloween girl, and she's Halloween, and she's got her brain sticking out, but the brain's formed like a braid, and she's also got the eye sticking out, and I feel like that's like such a brilliant macabre design that like. Pretty much everyone on Tumblr is going to be... They're going to be T-shirts of a hot topic. Everyone's going to want to cosplay this girl who just goes, Halloween! Halloween!
Yeah, I'd have to look at the design again. I don't have it on me right now, but that was definitely some pretty interesting details to make them look like spooky, like Halloween-esque, fucked up.
I thought it was a great character design. I mean, they're somewhat similar, but like even the Himio thing, like every character death in Chainsaw Man feels like just like this is an interesting discussion. Zavil, you haven't watched The Mandalorian. Who knows? Maybe we can get people to donate super chats. We'll force you to watch.
Jesus Christ! Fuck no.
Someday. If someone gave you $200 right now, would you watch Force Awakens?
Fine.
So far, no one has given you $400, but
yeah,
there
no
you
shit.
go. There you go. Challenge accepted. Any one of you crazy guys want to give like $200 for Force Awakens? That's out there. Maybe someday we'll make that happen. But okay, so. But this is like
I mean, it doesn't have to be one person. If we give like $400 in combined donations, I don't care where it comes from.
So we got this
like Gotham all over again.
So in The Mandalorian, the Star Wars TV show, it's kind of like has like Disney edge, where it's like supposed to be grim and gritty, but it's like edgy in the sense like Pirates of the Caribbean is edgy.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
So in the sense where they're like, you know, a lot of betrayals, but they're like very telegraphed betrayals. So they don't really carry much weight. So it's like, you know, ooh, untrustworthy bounty guy betrays the Mandalorian. Untrustworthy gunworthy guy betrays the Mandalorian. Oh no, Orlando Bloom betrayed Jack Sparrow. And because there's like no real stake to it, it just feels like it's like kind of something that's supposed to give people the illusion of something shocking in a movie that's like kind of like formatted to be very safe and kind of generic.
Yeah, I can feel that.
Well, I feel like the shocking deaths in Chainsaw Man, there's a little bit more character growth. So something like Himio's death is like really sad and tragic just because she got a big character moment. She got a big funny moment with the puke with Denji. And she also has a goal with trying to hook up with Aki. So that makes her sudden death and sacrifice feel much more impactful than, you know, if some rando gets killed in The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Maybe. It's funny you make that comparison. I never really would see that. I still think...
Oh, snap! Oh, snap! Oh, snap! Oh, snap! Oh, snap! Oh, snap!
Not
we
too,
have gotten
what the fuck
a super chat! So, for your efforts this morning, Zavul and Goro, you will be rewarded $3.99!
Jesus fucking Christ.
wow.
No, for 200, but 2%, they're low.
Thank you,
Thank you, child father Goro.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
I believe that is 10.
Okay, so we're gonna keep a tab of like how much we can get to the like force you to watch. We'll include it in the next podcast episode.
Thank you.
For how much money you can get me to pay to make me watch something I really don't want to fucking watch.
Yeah. Woo! Yeah. All right, I validated this. This was all worthwhile. Even if I don't have my second monitor, even if I just had to pay $1,800 to repair my stupid car. Woo! This weekend is good.
Jesus Christ.
All right, so back to Chainsaw Man. So, like I said, that's what I think. You have good character moments, the characters you like, and when bad things happen to them, before Reze's big death, we get that big moment where we sort of learn her path and we learn her tragic thing which recontextualizes it, and it makes her death shocking and sad, even though she's a villain.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but it's interesting that you compared that to Pirates of the Caribbean, where you said like the betrayals felt like very not meaningful. But I think the meaning for the betrayals almost anything in Pirates of the Caribbean was like the fun adventure aspect of it, kind of like the fun or funny adventure aspect of it. That's kind of what Pirates of the Caribbean is to me, and I feel like in a way it is very similar to what's going on with Chainsaw Man. Like these big like moments kind of get interrupted by like the fun, quirky elements of, power saying like, if I were president, I would allow people to eat ducks or something like that. In the river.
I also feel like that's life. You're not just gonna have like 100% meaningful moments every single second of the day. It's sometimes you're just gonna have like weird shit where you're just kind of like looking out at a duck pond. You're like, hey, you ever wonder if we could catch one of those?
Or how about when Denji is reflecting on after he got his mouth puked in or something. He's like, will I ever love again?
Yeah. That's
will I ever love again or something like that? And will I ever see, be excited about women again? And then Makima shows up the next panel and she's like, hey, you want to go out for some movie or whatever? And he's like, yeah! Serious moments like that just get interrupted all the time.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't feel like that's like a super serious moment. It's just like, wow, I just had someone throw up in my mouth. This has just possibly been one of the worst nights of my life since, I was poor. This is fucking miserable. Oh my god, my crush asked
like
me
an
out.
existential crisis. Though, is every goal gonna feel like?
Remember, I gotta stop you there.
Sorry,
I got something that I have to make, and this also is like why Chainsaw Man is so great, because in that moment you went from a high octane, gross out comedy moment with the vomit in the mouth, but then it transitions into this really sweet character moment. Because remember, Makima pulls out the Chupa Chupa lollipop. She sucks on it and then gives it to him and then says, well, here's your first indirect kiss, and now that tastes like Chupa Chupa. And as you go, you'll get more experiences and grow and find more things that you like, and you should always be defined by the bad. And it's like a really meaningful, really sweet, great slice of life moment. So, like I said, it's really strong character writing. It's like one of those things that is really difficult to pull off, but it's really hard to sort of articulate what makes it so great. But Chainsaw Man has it in spades.
That is true. That is what I'm trying to find. I'm trying to find that exact moment I was talking about. I don't quite remember where it was in the manga. Was it with Reze or was it with? Oh God, I forget. Someone died or he had a bad experience, and then Makima shows up and he's all better. He's like, yeah, I'm happy again.
Yeah, I think it was she offers to take him out to the movies, but
yeah.
But what was he sad about? Do you remember? I completely forget.
Tell you all about, but it was probably something that happened in the previous arc. He was probably sad about the fact that he feels like he's losing his emotions and he's not. But yeah, Chainsaw Man does a great job of taking these sort of cliche things and managing to sell them apart. So all right, gents, favorite arcs and favorite characters so far.
I mean, you have to love Denji. I mean, he's actually one of the few shonen main characters that I really like, and I really kind of enjoy watching do whatever the fuck he is doing. Luffy is fun, but Jesus Christ, no one watches One Piece for Luffy. They watch it for all like the entire supporting cast. Naruto's fun, but everybody's favorite character is usually someone else in that show. I mean, I guess people like Goku, but that's pretty much just because he's a god. And after a certain point, no one else is important in that entire series. It's hard to give a flying fuck about Krillin or Piccolo when, I mean, are they actually going to do anything? No, why would they ever do anything? No, of course they're not going to do anything. I actually like Denji.
So Denji's your favorite, and you think he's like one of your favorite shonen protagonists, the ultimate relatable guy?
Yeah.
Denji and Aki. I love how they both play off each other. And I love how Aki is like trying desperately to catch up. To me, he's like a Sasuke kind of like Rock Lee character in my mind, because he's just like super underpowered compared to all these other characters. And he's just trying his best to make up for that fact.
Yeah,
he's just trying his best.
We know he's gonna.
And I appreciate him for doing that.
And we know he's going to die, and it's going to be that much more tragic when he finally goes.
Yeah.
That's one of those telegraphed deaths that's just going to be all the worse because you keep expecting it.
The future is best. The future is best. The future
oh, God,
is best.
That moment was so weird. It's just like, he's like, I'm here to make a contract with you. The future is best. The future is best. Put your head inside my tummy.
It was great because, like, in the manga stream before it like completely died off, they had like in the comments, everyone would just keep on saying like, "The future is best. The future is best. The future is best," just to like praise Chainsaw Man and say how it was like the most incredible thing of all time. So I freaking love that. I'm trying to think. I like a lot of the characters. I think what I'm really love right now is the Denji power dynamic.
Which power dynamic?
Denji and Power, the character.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
Like, Power is... Denji's, of course, is great because you never quite know how he's going to react into a situation because he's coarse and unrefined like a chainsaw. And I think the dynamic of Power, where they're just kind of like Beavis and Butthead, and she's just so stupid but too arrogant to ever learn or realize that how dumb she is great. I love the brother sister. Mm-hmm. Like I love the like panels when they're in the elevator going up, and then just like the little kind of like scrambling over each other. And
Power is just like, oh, watch me and keep count of how many zombies I kill, and then Genji just like keeps. He's just like standing there, and the elevator doors close.
Yeah,
he's like, he doesn't give a shit. And Power's like, you know, while slaughtering zombies for like 10 minutes, like, Denji, you keeping count? You watching me?
It's so great. Yeah, exactly. That's what.
He's just probably asleep in the elevator. Because if we know anything about Denji, he's probably just like sacked out on the fucking floor because he doesn't care.
And one thing I hope it never becomes romantic. I don't want to see that dynamic ruined. I love it as it is right now. But I did love that moment where like Denji's like waiting for Reze to come, and then the guy's like, "Don't worry, you know, she's not coming. You know, a girl who's good for you will come into your future at some point." And then, "I'm Power. I've tracked you by your scent. Are those for me?" And Denji just starts eating the flowers in complete depression.
See, that to me feels like JoJo. I don't understand like how that doesn't like.
No, as someone who's watched all of JoJo, there's nothing in JoJo like that. JoJo's was like, oh, blah, 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 it's happening to blah, blah, blah. Well, this is like, it's much more relatable. JoJo's always camp, it's always grand. While, you know, this is like driven in Denji's like sort of much more relatable character moment.
It has character moments too. Like, think of like JoJo Part 4, for instance. Like, the, you know, dynamic between Josuke and like
it's still like a heightened reality,
and And the people, it's also kind of making the point that the people you love aren't always the best for you. It's like neither of the people that Denji actually like is romantically interested in. It's kind of like neither of these people are particularly good for you. Whereas Power is just like the dynamic they seem to have is like this is good for you. It might not be what you want, but the two of you constantly like pushing up against each other.
1 second, we got another super chat from Child of Goro. I wonder if that's like one of your people who said it. Well, thank you, good stream. Definitely gonna check this out. Thank you, Father of Goro, coming from Goro's Twitch stream.
Thank you.
Yes, I highly recommend you go read Chainsaw Man.
It's highly addictive. You'll be surprised for how fast of a read this is.
All right, so keep going. What were your thoughts?
But yeah, it's like it's like the people you love might not be good for you, but this dynamic he has with Power keeps him from being just constantly stationary, gives him someone to kind of butt heads with and maybe improve himself a little bit with, and just kind of gives him someone to relate to, just actually relate to, instead of just kind of being isolated by himself as like one of the few people who has these devil powers, didn't like make a contract or anything. He actually has like a sister relationship and like a family relationship instead of work relationships and then like this striving for romantic connection.
Yeah, I feel like his relationship with Power is more like a brotherly sister relationship right now.
Oh, yeah.
I don't see any like romantic like I don't see any romance like working between them right now at all.
And that's a great thing about Denji's, like he's horny, but he also like wants the emotional connection. He's not like he's not like, oh my god, I just want to feel boobs all the time. Ah.
That was a really nice touch where it's just like, because I mean it's shonen, it caters to like teenage boys, so that like constant like tits and ass, just constant frantic need to see tits and ass, whereas Chainsaw Man is like, okay, yeah, that's fine. I mean, yeah, we do cater to that, but think about why you want that. Is it the emotional connection? Do you maybe want someone you care about? Because at its heart, that's all Denji wants.
Yeah,
and that's sort of like what sells it. Where like,
well, he learns to want that. Like he learns, through his experience in relationships.
Yeah, that is true.
Because kind of just like life in general.
Essentially, Himio was like giving him, first was like, oh, I want to have sex. That's gonna be the best thing ever. And then Himio sort of shows him that like, oh, you actually want to have affection for the person you want to have sex with. That was the growth from that. And then Power, the boob grabbing showed him that like, when the the interaction is just transactional, then it just has an existential void of nothing.
Yeah.
Which is much more better than oh my god, I'm gonna peep on the girls in the bathroom.
Like, yeah, you're expecting like this grand moment, like, oh, Denji's finally gonna get what he wants, and he's like gonna go crazy over it. But then he's like, he feels hollow inside. He's just like, why are my goals nothing?
Yeah, those are the things that are making Chainsaw Man one of the best manga in Shonen Jump right now.
Yeah. Very interesting to think about stuff like that.
Yeah, I am more excited about Chainsaw Man right now than I am about One Piece.
We will have a big catch up on One Piece. We're going to say that for the next stream. So let's keep that, because I have a lot of mixed feelings about that now, because I think the recent chapters have been strong, but at the same time, I also have that sort of like blasé annoyance about the Wano arc.
I mean, I'll admit, Chainsaw is kind of like that new hip kid on the block, and One Piece is kind of like the strong, solid foundation, but maybe it's
a flagship.
Also a kid on the block, I guess. Greg.
Well, I think
mixed metaphor, motherfucker.
I think what he means is that I think what Greg means, or Goro means, is that like Chainsaw Man is kind of like the new hotness.
Yeah,
in
the new hotness.
That, like, you know, it's like the new up and coming artist that's doing new things. It's what Lady Gaga was at the beginning of her career. While you know, basically, One Piece is the American football of shonen manga. It is the main.
There have been plenty of points where I've been more excited about One Piece than like other shit I've been reading, i.e., Promised Neverland after a certain point. But it's just currently the Wano arc that is. I had such high expectations for, and really all I care about right now is going back and watching, or I guess reading, what the fuck is happening at the goddamn Reverie. I don't care about the Wano arc. The best part about the Wano arc so far has been literally jumping back and watching Goldie Roger tear ass around the New World.
Okay. Thank you. At least you acknowledge that. I mean, that to me is like
that's not
one
part
of the
fucking arc. That's not part of the story. That's literally just a flashback of completely unrelated people tearing ass around the New World.
Completely, but it's connected to God, the prince from Wano. I forget his name.
You mean
that's
Captain
the fucking fish. Okay, that's like saying the fucking Fishman Island arc was good because we got to watch Fisher Tiger. No. The flashback was good. The arc sucked ass.
I think what Zavil is saying here is that like the Fisher Tiger is a really strong flashback arc within Wano, or within Fishman Island, but it doesn't save the arc because it's technically not events that happen in the arc.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I got confused with
when you're
Fisher Tiger and Davy Jones for a second. Wait, Davy Jones.
Gordy Jones.
Right? Gordy Jones.
Yeah, when you're more interested in what is happening in a flashback than what is actually happening to the people around you, you may have kind of a problem, especially when you realize the flashback is ending and you're pissed about it.
All right, so
I think it's going to reveal.
Let's table that for now. We will save it for another stream. We got lots of stuff to cover. I'm sure we're going to have a very animated discussion about One Piece in the future. But for now, favorite Chainsaw Man arc, then closing thoughts.
Can I say what mine is right now? I think it's definitely the Reze arc. Had a lot of crazy shit going on. And I love her design, and I love the connection she built up with Denji, and then just like ripped his heart out basically, like, and was trying to rip it out both metaphorically and physically, like to appease the Gun Devil. So that was to me really interesting and really awesome fight scenes, and the beam rescue thing was awesome. I never expected to cheer for Beam ever.
Yeah.
But I did. And I was just pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I will agree with that. I really liked the Bomb Reze arc a lot.
Yeah, I Bomb Reze arc is like pretty much Chainsaw Man at its like maximum revved up, and it's got everything that makes Chainsaw Man good. But I still have a lot of affection for the Katana Man arc, just because I love the balance of how it escalated, and you know, it sets up an interesting dynamic after all these like fun characters. It's like, oh, it's like The Office. These are all the people. They're all sharing stuff about each other's. Then it completely rips the carpeting and rug in front of you and throws a stake in it after you're set up for like more Office Man adventures.
Yeah.
So if you had to give a score for these 55 chapters of Chainsaw Man we've read so far, what would you say?
Oh, jeez. God. No, the 90. I'm really excited about this. I really like this series.
I would go like, I'm almost tempted to go for 10, but like maybe 9.5. I think there have been like several chapters that have been like self-contained masterpieces.
Oh yeah.
And when you have like chapters that are that strong, intermixed with like other strong chapters, and like you're consistently hitting it out of the ball. You're doing the comedy well. You're doing the drama well. You're doing the balls to the wall action. You've got great character writing. You're doing it better than almost anyone else in Shonen Jump working right now is. It's fun fact. Like the latest chapter of My Hero Academia, there's like a big spread of like all the heroes, and then you can see like a little Chainsaw Man in the background. I'll link it to you guys so you can check it out.
No. Well,
So even the other guys are appreciating the glory of Denji, even if he doesn't get like much prominent placement on the big color spreads yet.
Well, considering I read all these chapters all at once, I was very. It felt like a very pleasant read through and really quick too. I was very satisfied. I would say. Like probably 9.5 out of 10. Just I don't want to give it like 10 yet because I feel like there's something I need some more. I need some more of this. I just need more to feel whole. I don't feel quite whole yet. I don't know how to articulate it.
Interesting. What that mythical element that you're like missing from it, but who knows? Maybe you'll discover it in the next arc. Although,
honestly, I've been having a hard time articulating this thing altogether. Like this is a fucking crazy manga. Like it's just, even with all its artistic flaws, maybe that's has something to do with it. Like I feel like maybe some of the artistic flaws is part of the reasons why he's telling a story like this, but I could be very wrong.
Well,
so.
To all those complaints, I will say this much. God, I want you to read Fire Punch. This is the most Goro, Greggy manga of all time. In previous work.
Oh God, it really is.
Like in the first chapter, okay.
Whenever you say that, it always ends up being true, honestly. Because I started reading like
we've
Doro,
known you for over 10 years.
You saw Dorohedoro. You said JoJo is like the most batshit crazy Gregoro manga and anime, and I watched that, and that was true.
Oh wow! So we're great tastemakers who were good at judging things.
Yeah. So I guess I'll have to look into it.
So let me just set this up. Fire Punch starts out. It's about a guy who's on fire, and he obviously punches things. So he's the Fire Punch, right? Okay, right. So he's got a superpower. So this is how Fire Punch starts out. Fire Punch is in a post-apocalyptic world where everything's been frozen by someone called the Ice Witch. So there's this guy and his sister, and they have the power to regenerate. So to help feed people, they are cutting off their limbs and giving the limbs to the people to go eat the limbs all the time.
Yes.
That's what they do. He just cuts his limbs off today so everyone couldn't eat it. So, and then his sister also has the hots for him, but he's like, I don't know if we could be together. We're brother and sister, but I kind of want to have sex with you. So then, and then the military.
Yes, there's a will they, won't they over will they, won't they fuck their sister.
And it's not even like an adopted sisters. They never established that. They're biological sisters, brother and sister, as far as we know. So there's a will they, won't they for that, and it's pretty freaking direct. And then the military for the evil post-apocalyptics come, and they see that like they think the village is cannibals, which I mean technically they kind of are. So they think that they're eating everything. So then this guy with like fire powers, because this is a world where people have mutant powers called gifts or some bullshit, quirks, whatever. He incinerates everyone in the village, including Fire Punch, the guy, and he becomes Fire Punch because his regeneration skill is so good, and the guy's fire won't go out, so it just keeps on burning him for like years and years, to the point where he just kind of like gets used to the fact that he's like constantly being incinerated and regenerating, and then just learns to tolerate it, and then walks around to get revenge. And becomes Fire Punch.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Yes.
Can you link me this?
And then halfway through the goddamn manga, there is a scene where like the villain says she wants to like end the world so new Star Wars movies can be made.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Star Wars movies?
She said
Yes.
She was disappointed that the Star Wars film, after the world ended, the Star Wars movies ended before ended mid movie. So the last movie was made. So she thinks if she could end the world and restart it, they'll make new Star Wars movies eventually, and then she could see how it ends.
Oh wow! Oh wow!
You like Star Wars, right, Greg?
Genius. That is, wow. What an aspiration. That is crazy.
Those are just some of the things of Fire Punch. And amidst the batshit insanity of Fire Punch, you could see, because like Fire Punch has a motif where Fire Punch keeps on going into movie theaters. And there's this character who's like the crazy film director buff. And you can sort of see the seeds of like the guy's artistic inspirations and what he really likes. And some of those are in Chainsaw Man. But Chainsaw Man is just like much more focused and much more concise versus just the Fire Punch is complete random bullshit.
I feel like once he got into Shonen Jump, the editors there just like kept slapping him every time he brought something up until eventually he learned his lesson.
He learned his lesson though.
Yeah, I mean, okay, you haven't read Fire Punch yet, so yes, he did. This is
much
him
more
learning
tamer
his
version. Would you say?
Well, just not just more tamer, just like it's a better story. It doesn't feel completely random. It's got like great character moments with great tone and pacing. Like, there isn't like as strong of a mythology yet, but the little pieces are intriguing, like with the chainsaw being the ultimate being from hell. And the storytelling is just better, where it just seems like, some kid going, and then Fire Punch, and then the bad guys came to Fire Punch, and then they cut his head off, and then they brought his head in a bag, and they kept on shooting his head so he wouldn't regenerate, and they just kept on doing that to bring him back. And yes, that's something that actually happens in the manga.
Yeah, it's like going from Dickleback to this.
I want to bring Dickleback back.
No.
In something. I don't care what it is.
You know what? I'll tell you what. Wait, why don't you like make an Atomatic, like a low budget moving comics Dickleback to bringing sexy back. That feels like a like a good idea.
No, he's got to be introduced in some kind of epic story, like as like a side character or something. I feel like he deserves a cameo. To me, he'd be a great cameo.
It'd be really funny though, if like some sort of psychic thing that we see like a Dickleback character come in Chainsaw Man.
Jesus Christ!
I don't think that.
I hope not. I'll ruin my enjoyment of this series.
But yeah, I will.
There was something I wanted to say, but I completely forgot.
What was it? Was it about Chainsaw Man?
Fuck. Damn it. Yeah. Oh yeah. The first few chapters of Chainsaw Man are actually pretty difficult to actually start to like it. I think it was until like they introduced Aki. I think that was when things were starting to pick up for me.
I don't think that the pilot chapter is a masterpiece, but I do think it does a good job of selling Denji as a protagonist and how like miserable he is, and the fact that he's like constantly in debt, and it sort of sells his relatability.
Yeah, I mean it sets up the story, and like he's like a poor guy, and
I mean, I will say that like later on it does get much stronger as it keeps on going on. But I wouldn't say the pilot chapter of Chainsaw Man is as good as something like The Promised Neverland. But at the same time, I think the strength of Denji and his relationship with Pochita is what sort of drives it and keeps it going. And of course, the fact that like he's the millennial hero we deserve.
I just feel like probably the moment that really got me going was when they Aki and Denji were fighting, and Denji just kicked them in the balls.
Yeah,
I fucking won that fight.
I almost completely forgot about that. I love the ball kicking contest.
That was like a great
oh God,
bonding moment.
Where he's like,
who can kick his balls the hardest?
Yeah, is he gonna be? Is he gonna be like the like driving force of sanity and reason in this series? Is he gonna be like the guy who's like, no, we can't do that. We have to remain professional. No, he's going for it. Oh, this series is gonna be great.
Yeah, where he's like, "Oh God, I can't believe you suggested that." You know what? Yeah, let's do it. And then you just kind of like imagine that the Office scene with the copier, where they're like smashing the copy. That's what it felt like to me. Just like all the existential worries about how miserable it is to be a devil hunter completely come free in this one moment.
Child father of gore. I don't know what you're hunting to, but maybe you're hunting to Dickleback or a ball kicking contest. But if you could be more specific on the happy to answer your questions since you are a super chatter.
But yeah, person. Strong chapter. All right, before we wrap things up, there's something interesting. So, Zavil, how have you been enjoying Doom 2016?
I haven't had to craft anything. All I've had to do is murder.
Well, tell me, because I always never suggested it to you because I know you like story games, and there is story in Doom 2016, but it's not at the forefront. Tell me about all the things that sort of pissed you off that made you go to this more pure experience.
Okay. Again, I keep bringing this up, but for everybody else, I think what finally made me snap was I've been playing through Fallout 4, and I hadn't enjoyed it quite as much as Fallout 3, but I was still enjoying it. The story was good, so I will endure a lot of shit for a good story. And then at some point a few months ago, I had realized that I had spent at least an hour on inventory management, moving things around from one backpack to another, trying to balance the weights so that I wouldn't crawl around the map like a piece of shit.
Is this for Doom?
No, Fallout.
No, this is for Fallout 4. So Fallout 4, just like Fallout 3, has there's only so much you can carry, which that's fine. But the problem is in Fallout 3, you weren't required to carry crafting materials around. You could get away with all right, so you'd carry around maybe an extra weapon or two, so that you could repair your weapon when it got broken a little bit, or you repair your armor. But it didn't require you to carry around tons of metal and all this other shit to craft things. Or constantly go back to your home base to drop this shit off, or parcel out what kind of equipment you were wearing, and the upgrades and upgrades to your carrying capacity. And so I just realized I'd sat there for an hour trying to figure out what I could leave behind, what I wanted to take with me, what exactly I could use to craft, what I would, and it's oh my God, I've spent an hour not playing this game, not playing anything in story related, not doing anything other than stare at the fucking Pip-Boy and and the workbench slowly ticking stuff back and forth between them and going, oh my God, I haven't actually played this game. This isn't fun. This is just work. Why did I start a farm? It wasn't to feed me, because I can find food. It wasn't. I guess it was sort of to feed the settlers who are too incompetent to feed themselves, which incidentally, literally every settlement you add just adds another layer of Farmville, where you have to constantly care for these morons who can't care for themselves, despite the fact that they have lived in the wasteland their entire lives and would presumably have some kind of survival instinct. No, you've got to do it yourself. No, I started the farm because duct tape is hard to find. Because duct tape is an adhesive that you need for crafting, but they intentionally bottlenecked the amount of duct tape and glue you could find to like.
This is why I don't like these open world crafting games
shunting
that
you
much. Doesn't
into,
really appeal to me.
Oh God, yeah, no, it's to start shunting you into farming. Why? Because if you plant the right kind of vegetables, you can boil them all down into vegetable starch, which becomes an adhesive. So I started a farm to make adhesive to continue crafting, which would eventually lead me back around into inventory management problems as I went out and hunted down pieces of stuff that I need, which fuck that. Literally, all I wanted to do was play the story. And yes, I understand. Yes, I could just completely ignore that and play the fucking campaign mode. But one of the fun things about Fallout is like you wander around, you find interesting things, and you do interesting things, and you go and you do missions, and you do side quests.
So you could ignore that technically, but you just did it anyway.
The problem is, okay. So the problem is in Fallout 3, it's like
There's not enough duct tape.
There's okay, in Fallout 3 there's significantly less crafting, so the wandering around like a jackass is more enjoyable because you're not constantly picking up like, oh, there's a piece of broken glass, oh look, a spring, holy shit balls, is that a piece of wood? I've always needed a piece of wood. And just cramming literally everything you can find in your fucking backpack. There was significantly less of that in Fallout 3. And in Fallout 4 it's built into the game. Part of the game and part of staying, I don't want to say competitive, but part of staying on curve with your power level is crafting. It is making new things and upgrading your equipment constantly. And so wandering around like a jackass in the wasteland suddenly became less exploration and suddenly just became this constant hunter-gatherer lifestyle that I guess is more realistic, but also
not fun.
No, there is a reason no one would actually enjoy being dumped off in a radioactive hellhole, and this is just the tip of the iceberg for why.
Well,
like games are supposed to be fun, and I'm
glad I'm not playing this game.
Like 2.5, like an hour and a half. I'm just like, what am I doing with my life? This is a Friday. I'm using my meager amount of time off, trying to decide how much glass I want to keep in my inventory. No, fuck this. So I just turned the game off, and I haven't played it since because I was so angry about it.
Good for you.
And I just keep running into this over and over and over again. Horizon Zero Dawn. I'm like, okay, there's dinosaurs, and I'm like shooting dinosaurs with a bow. The game world is interesting. The mechanics are kind of neat. There's no free run, which in a game that is open world and has fuck tons of cliffs, you'd think there'd be a free run mechanic. They have had it since Assassin's Creed 1. You'd think somebody would incorporate that, but they don't. So it's you were incredibly capable of accidentally falling off a fucking cliff and dying because there is no free run mechanic.
I guess they're trying to make it as like realistic and hardcore as possible, right?
Yeah, but you'd think like spending your entire life in this landscape and like all of the cutscenes involve you like scampering over rocks and climbing cliffs and jumping around like a complete fucking maniac. You'd think they would incorporate that into the game mechanics because everything in the cutscene suggests you should be able to do this. Instead, the capacity for you to like traverse the landscape is about as good as fucking Kingdom Hearts. A little better, but not much. So anyway, all right, what part of the game are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, right, you're collecting pieces of dinosaurs for like a bajillion goddamn side quests. Okay, no, I'm done with this too. Fuck that. So like every fucking game, it's like every fucking game just involved a crafting mechanic that I just do not fucking care about. It just exists to pad the game. Like this might have been fun in an MMO. Why? Because the entire time I was fucking around in World of Warcraft with you assholes, I was also like accomplishing side quests and talking with my friends over the internet. It was fun. Like, sure, I might be wandering around the entire continent mining shit like a jackass, but I was also chatting. So it was mostly like I'm kind of mining in the background while we're like screaming at each other about stuff. that's fun. That's like an enjoyable like pastime. Whereas this is just like, it's Friday. I'm sitting here. I have done nothing except collect pieces of dinosaur and pieces of glass. Why am I? Fuck God, no, fuck that. Fuck you for padding your game out. Fuck this. Fuck everything about this.
What about Alien Isolation's crafting system? Because
that was slightly less terrible because you could find shit everywhere. It was literally impossible not to find the shit you needed to put together. So eventually I just got to the point where I just had enough of everything that I really wasn't like, I would use something and then almost immediately craft another one. So that wasn't so bad.
Were you like a big fan of this Fallout series before this?
I enjoyed it, but like it's the last two. I didn't even play Fallout 76 because I heard
that was the one. That was a nail of the coffin for.
I was angry about it as soon as I heard about what it was. It's like, oh yeah, you get to like dick around. It's like, okay, no, absolutely not. The entire point of the Fallout games was it was so immersive, and there were so many people you could interact with, and so many directions you could pull your character. And instead, this is just like sitting around like a fucklord. Interacting with people on the internet, which, as we all know, is the best part of any goddamned game ever. The interactions with people on the internet. The only good part about the MMO is at least you could pick who you were interacting with. But goddamn. Anyway, so I'm just angry because I know I'm dating myself, but some of my favorite games are like Alan Wake. There was no crafting system. It was just like you played through the story. It was a good story. It was immersive and interesting, and I cared about what happened. And that was it. BioShock. It was like there was no real crafting involved. It was a good story, beginning, middle, and end. I was immersed in the world. I cared about what was happening, and I didn't spend like hours of my time trying to figure out exactly what I could fit in my fucking backpack like a tool.
Then comes Doom 2016.
Yeah, and then there was Doom 2016, where I was just so tired of crafting that it just dropped me and said, kill literally everything in front of you. And I just looked around, I'm like, normally this isn't my thing, but yeah, okay. I was
all
kind
that
of pissed
pent up frustration from crafting.
Yeah, it was just like, what's this? I like no tactics. It's like the game punishes you for not just running up and like getting in something's face and beating it to death. Oh, this is going to be amazing. And so for the last like 3 weekends, like on Friday night after I'm just like done with work, it's just been like, and now everything dies. It's like, what's that? I'm low on health. Better kill something so it explodes in health. What's that? Low on ammo? Do I need to like hunt around and like craft special ammo? No, I whip out a chainsaw and tear something in half and it explodes in ammo.
Have you played Doom 3? The one before that?
No, this is the first Doom game I've ever played, and I'm so excited about it just because there's no crafting involved. I'm also really excited about like the
Doom Eternal,
like the tertiary, like there is in fact like a story that you can follow, but you actually have to go in and like read all of the journal entries and stuff you find, which is a lot of fun. I actually enjoyed the amount of thought they put into this world, and it shows. It honestly shows how much thought they put into it. But if you want to interact, you have to want to interact with it. Otherwise, you can just tear ass through Mars and then hell, killing everything in the most over-the-top way possible. And I feel better about my life and my video game experience. Yeah, I actually really, really liked Borderlands.
Oh. Well, yeah, me and Tom were like playing a lot of it.
Yeah, I know. You got my t-shirts done at the very last moment because you were so deep in the fucking Borderlands 3. I fucking love that. Hey, Greg, I got Borderlands 3. I haven't beaten it. You want to know why?
Why?
Because I'm making goddamn videos all the time with my limited spare time. You know what I'm going to do after this? I'm going to go continue writing my Joker script, which I'm annoyed about that it still isn't finished.
All right. I do work too. I have a job too.
So
And
just
I
to piss
do
off.
origami paintings and stuff.
So just to piss.
It's not like your time is not more mightier than my time right now. I did Borderlands 3 just barely.
So just to piss off Isaac. What class and what spec did you take?
Oh, for Goro or
For,
me?
for fucking Borderlands. Yo, Greg.
Oh, for me?
Yes, we are now excluding you from this conversation
Borderlands
because I know it's going to piss you off.
For Borderlands 3 or 2 or 1?
3.
I think it's Zane.
You're the operative. I should know because I watched you play instead of drawing the goddamn shirt.
Yeah, Zane, and I like the dual cloning spec with a little gun turret on my shoulder or flying around. Because I like the gameplay of like switching between the clones.
Oh shit, that's right. Borderlands 3 is out. I completely blanked on that.
Yeah,
I've been playing Borderlands 2. Okay, I guess that's another game I can grab after.
You just said 3.
I know. I completely blanked on that.
Well,
all right, so
well, ask him what class he played in 2, because Tom.
Yeah, what did you play in 2?
Borderlands.
Say, what did you play in 2?
God, God, it's been so long. I have to look it up.
You can't remember.
How do you not remember? What was your play style? What did you do? Did you throw a turret at something?
Yes, I was a turret. I loved the turrets.
Okay. You played Ashton. You played the mercenary. Okay, there we go. We both picked the same class. I fucking love that turret.
Yeah, the turret is just so convenient. To me, it feels like playing as a necromancer or something in Diablo.
Yeah, I spec'd entirely into that fucking turret.
Yeah, turrets are the best.
Turret boys for life. I can't believe nobody played the Gunzerker. No love for the Gunzerker.
No.
By the way, we were supposed to talk about Chainsaw Man during the live
stream. We fucking did. We did for like 2 hours.
This is the post commentary.
Yeah, this is the post commentary.
Yeah, this is the post commentary. This is the commentary after the commentary.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the sort of like, how you doing in your life? What are you watching? What's your new fun thing? Blah 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 blah. Every podcast does it, Greg. It's called Banner.
Oh, okay. Yeah. By the way, I still love Hearthstone, but I hate that they moved to exclusively to YouTube.
Oh yeah. Greg, you know what you really should get into instead of fucking Hearthstone? Magic the Gathering. You should play Magic the Gathering, Greg.
So much money, and it's not completely digital. Like, can you
dump your money into this like I have? Come on, fuck you. Come on,
Hearthstone. It's got
go to hell.
Things
it's the most complicated game in the world.
Oh god, yeah, you were just explaining me the phase and the pre-phase, and I was like, oh god, why can't this just be digital?
I used to be like into Magic, and I didn't even play it. Like, I just like would study like the tournament strategies, the decks, and like, wow, Standard's so interesting. Like, oh, this combo works with that. Oh, I look at each individual card. I was like such a fucking Magic nerd, even though I never spent any money in it. I was a broke Magic nerd. That's what I was.
I finally got into Commander, and it is just, yeah.
Commander? That's with
it's the 100 card format, singleton. So you can only have one copy of each of any card except for basic lands in the deck.
Oh, okay. Do you ever play like the digital Magic the Gathering game?
I've played Arena a little bit. I'm not as willing to dump tons of money into the digital stuff because I have such an extensive cardboard collection.
Okay.
Well, yeah. Didn't you say you were playing the Arena and then you were frustrated because of Sparky?
Oh god, I fucking hated Sparky. The voice they chose for her is just infuriating. It's who the fuck was the female character from Pirates of the Caribbean?
Keira Knightley?
Yeah, she sounds like Keira Knightley attempting a British accent. It's bad. It's real bad. I don't know why she's British. I don't know why she has these constant non sequiturs. I don't understand what their decision making process on that was, except I guess to try and pander to neckbeards.
Because neckbeards like British voices?
I don't know. I literally don't know. It's like the only thing I could think of is like, I guess you're trying to make this classy, and I guess you're trying to include like a female voice just to try and attract like your like stereotypical audience who is just like this basement dwelling nerd who only comes out for Friday Night Magic and never bothers to shower. I do not understand who your target audience for that voice was and why they faked a British accent so hard and what the dialogue options were. They could have made her so much cooler. And I don't understand why she's my Planeswalker Spark. And it just like fucking god damn it. It's like, why is my Planeswalker Spark talking to me? Wait, what? Fuck, god damn fucking Okay, I'm better.
Did they ever get rid of her after the tutorial was done and then you could just like play against random people?
Yeah, you can do that. I just never got past that point because there was no one else to play with.
What do you mean?
No,
Just random people off the internet.
Yeah, but that involves interacting with random people on the internet when I actually have a play group of people that play Magic. But my fiance and my girlfriend both play Magic. We constantly play with each other. Brian and Linda, like literally all of my friends play Magic, so we'll just get together and beat the ever-loving shit out of each other in a Commander game. So there's like no incentive for me to play Arena, but I'm trying to slowly drag other people into this incredibly expensive and time-sucking hobby so I can justify spending more time and money on it.
Well, the most glorious thing was when I bought you $80 worth of Magic cards for forcing you to watch Gotham.
Oh, that was okay. That was.
Oh,
I don't
so
wanna
that's
say that was a waste.
kryptonite to get you to do something.
Yes. If you pay me money, I'll do it. Like, if you pay me money, if you can like justify me wasting the limited amount of time I have on this fucking earth,
What if
by paying me, I'll do it.
What if it was in Bitcoin?
You didn't have enough Bitcoin to pay him?
Yeah, Craig. Do you, Craig?
Like how much do you have from seeking off my referral? Because you're probably getting a decent amount from like just the interest I'm accumulating.
I think I have like 1,000 Satoshi in my Coinbase bank.
Well, how much do you have in your Bitcoin.in?
I'd have to check. Let me see.
You know what, Greg? Sure. I will give you the same deal that I gave Isaac, okay?
All right.
Which is the friend special, because this does not apply to some random fucking schmuck who thinks he can get me to do anything. At that point, I'm actually charging you actual money.
What I really want you guys to do is just watch a few episodes of Dorohedoro. And I want to see.
See, this is the thing. If I am not motivated to find it on my own, or if I'm not immediately interested, you can buy my interest. For you two, it's minimum wage, like federal minimum wage.
Which minimum wage? Because I think the one in New York is like $15 an hour, and that's a little bit pricey.
That's why I said federal minimum wage, $7.25 an hour.
God, I don't know.
Anybody else that price starts going up exponentially, but yeah, if you desperately want me to do it, you could buy my attention. Otherwise, you will have to wait until I'm either bored or curious enough to do it on my own.
Well, thanks to Child Father of Goro for donating $5.90. We are now closer to forcing you to watch The Force Awakens.
Yeah, you are.
Wait, you haven't even seen any of the sequel trilogy, right?
We've been through this, Greg. We've been through this many times. He's
Greg,
completely divorced of
Greg,
Star Wars. He doesn't follow most of all pop culture.
You are so lucky, by the way. I almost don't want him to do it. I don't want him to do. I don't want you to tape yourself.
Okay, the last thing I watched was, oh god, I don't actually even remember the name.
Rogue One?
Rise of the Skywalker, right?
Han Solo movie?
No, he didn't see any of it. You probably saw Revenge of the Sith. That was probably the last.
Yeah,
one.
It was Revenge of the Sith. Was the last Star Wars movie I watched.
Oh wow.
And then he was cold turkey from then until ever.
Yeah. I have not tuned in on anything. None of the video games.
No interest at all?
No. That prequel trilogy just broke me. I just stopped caring.
Even though it's directed by someone else other than George Lucas, and
yeah, I stopped caring, Greg. I literally stopped caring. There was like, this was just a time and money and energy sink that I just like looked around and went, I could be doing other things, and then just stopped.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
That's a hard break.
No, it wasn't though. That prequel trilogy was awful.
It was pretty bad, but
the break was like 3 bad movies in a row. Okay, this wasn't like a spur of the moment. Well, fuck it, I'm going cold turkey. It was like, well, that was terrible.
Yeah.
Well, this is still bad. This is also bad.
So morbidly curious what he thinks of the
imagine
sequel trilogy.
The sequel trilogy.
I'm so
worse.
See, okay,
no, maybe he'll actually like them. Maybe he'll love the Last Jedi.
Greg, here's the fucking thing. All right, and think about this.
Yeah.
The prequels are still canon.
Yeah.
So anything that I watch has to acknowledge that these 3 movies that I hated exist. And I don't feel like doing that or giving them that kind of time and energy to go like, yeah, well, this was good, but that other terrible thing that I hated still exists in this universe. I don't want to spend the amount of time and effort it would take me to develop a blind spot and not pay attention to the fact that was terrible. Instead, I'm just going to move on and do other shit.
Let me just make this one point about Star Wars in general. There is a lot of terrible expanding universe stories that were considered part of the continuity that were forever cemented in the continuity, right? You'd still have to accept those stories as being part of that continuity, right?
Yeah, but I didn't have to like... Okay, here's the difference. I wasn't inundated with it. It just wasn't a constant barrage of like BB-8 action figures before the movie even comes out. What's that? You want Star Wars plastered over every fucking like drink cup at every major fucking fast food restaurant? What's that? There's like a skin for your text messages that includes Star Wars. Okay, just eat it. Just eat it all up everywhere. You can't miss it.
But this is like a point
in your life. This
is like merchandising. This isn't. But
the thing is, like, the expanded universe I had to buy into. I could pick the book up and go, this looks god awful, and put it over there and pick up another one and go, I like this. And because it's in book form, and because it wasn't constantly being rubbed in my face every 5 fucking seconds, I could successfully ignore that at a much lower energy cost ratio. It's like the book isn't just constantly jamming itself down my throat in the form of constant merchandising and cross advertising.
Yeah, you kind of just have to like let that wash over you sometimes.
Yeah, all I had to do to ignore crappy expanded universe canon was not pay attention to it at the library and pick something else. You know what I have to do to ignore crappy I guess, post-trilogy shit? I would basically have to destroy my computer and blind myself.
Wow, this sequel trilogy is so epic! Wow, this prequel trilogy is so epic! Look at us!
Dig out my own ear.
It's in your face.
Dig out my own eardrums in the process.
Oh,
and I'm pretty sure after all that, after I like fucking Helen Kellered myself, that at some point after I learned to sign and figured out that like by like touching other people's hands, I could like interpret what they were saying, that someone would come up to me and in American Sign Language start signing to me about how important Star Wars is. I'm pretty sure someone would fucking do that to me. I'm burned out on Star Wars, and so at this point it's literal work, and you have to pay me to do work.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Eventually, all that advertising goes away over time.
And then the next one comes out, and it starts all the fuck over again.
But what if that story ends up being good? Like, you can pick and choose your Star Wars movies, technically, right?
This is the same reason that I barely follow a lot of Marvel and DC mainstream shit. It's like, yeah, I suppose I could spend my time like smearing shit all over the floor to try and find the diamond that my dog swallowed. But really, that's a lot of work for, I mean, I guess there's certain reward in finding that diamond, but it's covered in dog shit and I don't really want to touch it.
That's such a negative opinion, even though most of the Marvel stuff has been consistently better.
It's C+ at best. Fuck you.
Okay, the Marvel stuff is significantly better than the Star Wars stuff. I'm gonna have to agree with.
Marvel is like C+ storytelling. Okay, it's just like the comics. It will go ad nauseum forever until it stops turning a fucking profit. Okay,
it's kind of an amazing experiment of like long-term storytelling in movie form.
Tentpole bullshit. I don't care. Like I saw, like the last Marvel movie I saw was fucking Ant-Man 2, and that was.
Oh God, you saw Ant-Man 2?
Oh, that was fun.
It was fun. It was bland. And then I realized, like a month ago, when someone asked me what the last Marvel movie I saw, that I didn't really remember what it was about or what happened or literally anything. It's like all I could remember was mild enjoyment and the fact that I think I just lost an hour and a half of my life because I didn't remember what the fuck happened, who was important, or why anything happened. I didn't even remember who the villain was until I looked it up on Wikipedia.
Yeah,
and then oh yeah, it was that like weird, like phasing out of existence ghost lady. Huh.
Yeah.
I did not remember that at all. And that's when I'm like, oh wow.
So some storylines, some movie storylines are weaker than others. It's true, but it has like this. Its overarching continuity to me it's really fascinating over the course of all these movies. And
yeah, but that's basically just what the comics do. And the comics, again, like if you're following weekly comics for a lot of big name comics, it's like C+ material at best.
See,
it's not terrible, but it's not great either.
I think if I didn't have like such problem reading things, like I'm a slow reader, and especially when it comes to like books and things like that. Well, manga is a lot easier because it has big pictures and everything. But
okay.
I think it's partly because of my dyslexia. I think I would be more on your side on this.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not trashing comics. I'm not trashing like the idea of comics. Like Arkham, A Serious House on Serious Earth is amazing. There are individual storylines that I will pick up only after I've like looked like done a little research and went, okay, I think
Superman's
I'll pick that
Red
out.
Sun.
Exactly. So I'll give you an example. Like big pictures and like comics. I mean, that's basically just comics. But I'm reading what the fuck is it? The Black Monday Murders, which is a Image series about
sorry, I'm getting a phone call.
All right.
Sorry, my girlfriend's calling. Just one second.
I say we are a little over the allotted time, so.
Oh yeah, we'll wrap this up, but I wanted you to finish up your rant and then we'll call it. But yeah, this is a very good inaugural thing of our podcast. Now I have to go find other platforms to go upload it outside of iTunes.
As Greg looks increasingly concerned. The bane of radio, dead air.
Yeah.
But yeah,
all right. So go on about the Black Monday Murders.
So the Black Monday Murders, is this weird fucking series about what, supposing our financial system is not just like based on like stocks and bonds, but what if this was actually like a cult setup worshiping the god Mammon, and the reason you keep trying to accumulate more and more money is because money is power, not just in the sense of like the abstract sense of like you can pay someone to do something, but you trade currency to your god for divine favor. Magic runs off of what you can sacrifice, and the more you have, the more you can give up, and the more things you can get.
So you can buy power-ups from your god?
Sort of like that. That's kind of how like magic functions, and the constant boom bust cycle that you see, the depression, and then the regain of money, and the secular nature of the market is all based off of when the god Mammon manifests in the world, because when he manifests, he consumes. And so basically the goal is to like restock for the next time he comes through to maintain his favor. And so it's a really weird series, and it's really interesting.
Well, what's the series called again?
The Black Monday Murders.
Okay. It's in novel form?
No, it's a comic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like stuff like that holds my attention. I liked Scalped, which it's just an older series. It's Vertigo, but it's basically about a guy who is a Native American, and he is working with the feds because they can't really work on reservations because they're basically like there's like a drug smuggling ring on this reservation, and so just like weird stuff like that. Like it basically, like, for lack of a better word, like stuff that would have appeared in Vertigo is more interesting to me because it usually has like a beginning and an end.
Sounds like a racy title, considering Native Americans. And
well, I'm sure it was earlier. It probably wouldn't fly in today's political climate, but
I mean, yeah, it's like it's that kind of like weird, scratching the surface a little more than just like who punches each other but good. That kind of like interests me a little more. And I guess part of like I do enjoy the like who punches each other good in shonen, but also there is linear storytelling, and unless you're Dragon Ball, you will eventually reach the end of your story and move on, rather than Batman has been around since the 1940s and nothing ever stops. It will reboot itself every 3 or 4 years.
That's the thing about like American comic book superhero stories is they just keep on telling the story endlessly. There's no end because continuity for them is just whatever.
I think there's something to be said about the idea that these are the American myths, and you're just going to constantly get these retellings over and over. This is the modern American mythology. But at the same time, it's like that's part of what just doesn't hold my interest, is nothing can ever really progress past a certain point because there's just always that sword hanging over your head. There's always the fact that give it a few years and it doesn't matter.
But here's an interesting thing about being translated into movie form. These characters are played by mortal actors. So at some point, these actors have to retire. You have to kill off these superheroes now. There is now a real continuity to these stories.
Well, the real question, though, is that, like, we've gotten to a point where, like, Marvel continuity is just as convoluted as the fucking comics. And will they recast Iron Man? Will they have, like, some sort of big superhero event where the universe is dead, and then they can just recast all the old heroes with new people?
That's the thing, is I'm not sure if they're going to reboot it or if they're just going to recast people. And at that point, it's basically gotten into soap opera continuity. nothing ever changes except the cast. There will always be an Iron Man. More than likely, they will have the same kind of personality quirks, or at least have the same role to fill. And regardless,
they have the next generation of Marvel characters too that they could tell stories of, and I think that's what they're going for.
But it's like Doctor Who, where it's just like it just keeps cycling through. It's like it's the same Doctor Who. It's the same kind of stories.
Yeah, they could do technically something like Doctor Who, but at least Doctor Who has like a decent explanation of why they always change the character, change the actor because of generation and everything.
I know. I'm just saying. I'm also not quite as interested as in a superpowered Days of Our Lives.
It's not. I don't think it's going to be Days of Our Lives. I think they want to make a more.
I'm still amazed that you got dragged to seeing Ant-Man 2 because, like, I thought the last one you saw was Thor Ragnarok, and like, I'm surprised.
Why Ant-Man 2 of all of them? Just like that's really curious.
This is when I was still in contact with my folks, and this was like what my dad wanted to see for his birthday.
Oh,
really?
I see.
He wanted to see it. I mean, Ant-Man's pretty fun, but.
Look, okay, I didn't ask, okay? That's what he wanted, that's what we did. that's what I spent my Sunday afternoon doing.
That's funny. It's, imagining your dad is like, I'm really into that kind of humor.
I love Paul Rudd. Not even Endgame, Ant-Man 2.
Yeah, I know. I just fuck it. Fuck it, man.
All right, one last note before we head off. Are you excited for the Netflix live action One Piece series?
God, that's gonna be weird.
God, that's why.
I mean,
why is Oda a part of that? Like, how can you make One Piece live action? That does not make any sense.
I'm kind of on Goro's side here. I'm really, really ambivalent about it.
I'm just morbidly curious because, like, one thing that like Netflix is very skilled at is like translating like sort of like dweeby, nerdy shit to like make it more palatable. So
I'm sorry, Death Note, live action Death Note.
Again, I'm agreeing with Greg here, which doesn't happen often. Usually I'm on Isaac's side, but no, Greg is right here.
Wasn't there a live action Bleach? And I heard that.
Well, that was technically just like that was like produced for Japan, and Netflix just got the rights. It wasn't like something that they'd like intentionally produced themselves.
And live action Dragon Ball.
I mean, you're right. They've all been terrible.
Yes. Thank you.
Or at best, like just kind of like forgettably mediocre.
The one thing that I thought they could have translated well into live action was Death Note, and they fucked up that. So to see them try and translate something that doesn't seem translatable into real life, like One Piece, doesn't feel.
But Oda's an executive producer. Maybe they'll actually listen to him.
I mean, the fact that Oda is in on this is like, it's hopeful, but I'm still.
Yeah.
Well, ages ago, I gave my terrible pitch for like a live-action One Piece series. So Netflix, go steal that. But yeah, I'm very curious now that it's actually real versus like the development hell that the Bleach American movie and the Naruto American movie just fell off into a pit to die in.
I forgot. What was your pitch for One Piece live action?
It was that like Luffy comes to like the real world. And then
So it was fucking Jump Force, you fucking weeb.
Kind of. And then little by little, as he's in the real world, it like translates it so he counters like real worldified versions of like famous One Piece characters. So you could have like Crocodile and he's like a mafia boss, or Big Mom who's like a Paula Deen, Oprah kind of figure.
What the fuck, Isaac?
Actually, that actually sounds more entertaining than what I imagined.
Okay.
I think it's a way that, like, one, you keep it separate so you're not adapting the canon. You can have more. Basically, you have the whole sandbox of One Piece to play with. You can make your own thing that's separate and different.
Oh, God, Isaac.
What?
Isaac.
What?
You just pitched the My Little Pony movie.
What happened? What happened? Oh, what? You mean the Equestria Girls?
Yes. You just pitched Equestria Girls.
What happens in Equestria Girls?
Hey,
I don't know. I haven't fucking seen it, but I know the premise is she gets sucked into like the real world where people are bipedal and shit. Still weirdly colored, but bipedal.
hey, would the One Piece movie work? Or sorry, would a One Piece live action work if it was all puppets?
What?
You know what? I'm willing to say yes.
I'd be interested to see it.
Wouldn't that be cool? Like, everything has to be like in a sort of all-encompassing, fantastical kind of setting, but like, I don't know, the CG. You can't have CGI in One Piece,
But I guess we can have Muppets.
yes, everything in Muppet. Unless everything is CGI,
I think
in,
claymation.
in One Piece.
I think claymation would have better chances, personally.
Claymation, yeah.
Well, speaking of One Piece movies, I definitely am dying to hear your guys' thoughts on Stampede eventually when you get around to seeing it.
Oh god, I still need to see that. Yeah.
Because, like I said, the ultimate One Piece fan service movie.
Guys,
all right. So
I think
this, I think, is we've spent a good time. Thank you for everyone who stuck around and hung out with us in the chat. Thank you, Child Father of Goro, for your wonderful super chats. And I hope you had fun. And I'm going to record the archive of this onto my second channel, so if you want to listen there, and then I'm going to figure out other places to submit this. But we'll be back, possibly next week, maybe the week after, who knows, depending on schedules. And we will do our great One Piece catch-up.
Yep.
So look forward to that as we debate and dive into Wano. Thanks for hanging out with us on Super Bowl weekend. And remember, lobsters and tennis, but don't you grab it.